President Trump hitting the Democrats over the government shutdown as the Senate gets ready to take another test vote to pass a stopgap funding bill. The move expected to fail. And Chad Pergram live on Capitol Hill. And Chad, the more I read about this big protest next Saturday on October 18th that the Democrats and progressives plan to hold, the more I think the Democrats will wait and let that happen. What do you think of that theory?
Well, it depends if that's kind of their marker, or maybe the 15th, the middle of the month. That's when the next paychecks are due for federal workers. Right now, no end in sight, and President Trump is now tinkering with not providing back pay to workers who are off the job. The Senate takes more test votes on government funding plans today, but expect the same results.
This week, paychecks start being affected for federal workers, and that is going to have real consequences for them and their families as well. Democrats are going to get another chance. They've already voted 5 different times now to keep the government shut down and against opening up the government.
Thune and other GOP leaders believe furloughed federal workers will receive back pay once the shutdown ends. Today's votes mark the 6th attempt to fund the government. There are informal talks, but they are very pedestrian.
There are good discussions going on between Democratic and Republican colleagues. They've sort of reached a little bit of an impasse, although I may learn a little more when I'm up here as of lunch, the Republican position. We're glad to talk about this once government is reopened. Well, we really need more of a commitment than that.
Some Republicans are anxious to end the shutdown. GOP Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is siding with Democrats on demanding help to offset increasing health care premiums.
How are we supposed to say it's the Democrats' fault when we're in charge of the White House, the House, and the Senate? People don't buy that. I know people back at home absolutely are calling basically BS on it.
House Speaker Mike Johnson is open to a special bill to pay air traffic controllers and the military, but that requires Johnson to recall the House. Johnson has vowed to keep the House on recess until Senate Democrats accept the GOP funding plan. Dana?
All right, Chad, thank you so much. Let's bring in Josh Holmes. He's co-host of the Ruthless Podcast and Fox News contributor. Great to have you here. I do think that, once again, back into the breach we go on Obamacare subsidies. Here's from the Wall Street Journal. The politics of Obamacare subsidies. Republicans can win the debate over pandemic benefits if they try. We've seen this before, Josh, and I know you know these fights well. How do you size it up at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, it starts, Dana, with the fact that Chuck Schumer is so concerned about keeping his job that he's prepared to sacrifice the jobs of everybody else in order to keep it. He's marched Democrats into an absolutely untenable position. And he's now trying to get something out of it and justify the government shutdown in the first place. Like almost anybody with any responsibility at this point is trying to figure out how to hand this guy plastic pilot wings, pat him on the head and tell him he's doing a good job, promise to call you captain if you just reopen the government. There is nothing that they're going to get out of this in terms of reauthorizing Obamacare tax credits. That is a discussion that Senator Thune, Majority Leader Thune, said can happen when the government reopens. He's known that since before the government shutdown, so now they're just trying to justify it.
I think one of the points that the Wall Street Journal makes is that families are getting subsidies and more than $500,000 a year. And if that's the length that you have to go to keep Obamacare operating, that's pretty extreme. Now, go ahead, Josh. I'm going to move to another story with.
No, I mean, look, it's a really important point. I think what's lost in this discussion about rising health care costs is the promise that the Affordable Care Act would make health care affordable. It's done the exact opposite. Now they need a pandemic-era emergency tax credit in order to get people to fund the health care in a system that they created. It's getting worse and worse. It probably will get worse than this. What happens 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line?
Absolutely.
They're going to have to keep doing it.
But Republicans need to make the argument. I think that's the point that Dana was driving at there. There was a story that broke on Joe Biden. I mean, the story just keeps giving here. I mean, it's unbelievable. So this goes back to 2015 when he was then vice president, okay? And this apparently had family ties to Ukraine, and this is what Biden's office sent out. It said, "Good morning, I just spoke with the VP and NSA. He would strongly prefer the report not be disseminated. Thanks for understanding." That was the family ties to Ukraine. And it wasn't disseminated. It was dead in the water right there. Now, 5 years ago, Wayback Machine, here was the question from Peter Ducey.
Are you confident you said nothing wrong? I'm confident.
Have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
Okay. So I'll just read this to you, okay? Hunter Biden pursued a deal to sell land around the U.S. Embassy in Romania. I didn't know this was possible. The proposed transaction stemming from relationships that started while his father was VP and involving a Chinese partner underscore the extent of Mr. Biden's questionable dealings abroad. Ukraine, Russia, China, Romania. Hunter Biden could pick them, can he?
I mean, it's incredible. Another day, another revelation of public corruption from the Biden family. It is coming in fast and furious. I mean, we got two today. You've got the issue to the CIA saying you'd strongly prefer if we don't talk about this. Well, of course. I mean, he's a politician. He's running for president in 2020, even if he didn't know it back in 2017. He wants to keep that on the down low. But then to just out and out deny it, it is absolutely incredible. The Romania one, that's some good reporting by Ken Vogel at the New York Times. I encourage people to read that. It is really saucy. I mean, he's representing both sides of a transaction that is adjacent, at least adjacent to the U.S. Embassy in Romania. It is incredible that it ever got down the road that far, and it just goes to show there were no guardrails on the Biden family. There just weren't. While he was VP or he was president, it got really ugly, and I imagine there's probably more to even come.
Right. And it also reminds you of why President Obama was not that keen on a Biden running for election in 2016, because all this was going to come out, and now it does. Josh, thanks. Great to see you.
Yeah, thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.